Hi, my name is Bob Goodwin. I'm the lead geospatial analyst at RS&GIS at Michigan State University in the Department of Geography, Environment, and Spatial Sciences. In addition to the lead analyst, I'm also the UAS manager and a remote pilot, certified remote pilot. Right. So this project that we're working on along the shoreline is to utilize remote sensing technologies to identify changes in shoreline. Okay, whether that be from storms, harbor structures, any number of items. Now, we can collect data, imagery specifically, of the shoreline in a variety of different ways. We can use traditional aircraft, but that's expensive. And being able to very quickly identify changes in the shoreline, maybe post-storms or other events that might occur, it can get expensive with regular traditional aircraft. So what we do is we utilize drones, such as this one. With drones, we can get up, we can take pictures very quickly, we can immediately mobilize, and it's inexpensive, right? So I can take this small drone, which is a fairly inexpensive drone, around $2,000, and I can send it up 2, 3, 4, even 5 times a week if I wanted to, right? So I can very quickly capture a lot of data. So what's it take to actually fly one of these things legally? Well, you are required to take and pass the FAA remote pilot exam. Right? This exam tests your knowledge on a variety of drone-specific information, but also things like weather and airspace and these sorts of things that allow you to fly safely. Okay. So there are some regulations that are important to understand. I'll just go over a few of them right now. First of all, you cannot fly over people not involved in the operation. That's a regulation, all right, without their knowledge. You cannot fly over moving vehicles, and you cannot fly beyond visual line of sight of this drone. And that means that not only do you have to be able to see it, but you have to know its attitude, its direction, okay? So those are some of the primary items that you have to be aware of when you're flying drones. There are a slew of other regulations that you have to follow as well, but those are the main ones. Now, when we fly for this project, the folks who end up flying for us will be taught specifically to fly in safe manner, not during poor weather conditions, not too high of winds, and make sure that we're observing all FAA regulations. I'd like to go over some features of drones in general, but this drone specifically as well. Drones, as I view them, and as most people view them these days, are generally rotorcraft, but can be fixed wing as well. But essentially they can fly on their own, right? So they utilize GPS positioning technology to fly autonomously. Now, we can fly this manually, and we can fly it autonomously. And what do I mean by that? Well, if you're flying autonomously, you can set a mission. It will upload the mission to the drone. It will then take off, fly along a pre-programmed route, and then land again. Okay, all on its own. So that is autonomous flights. Now, you can fly manually, which is a lot of fun, but most missions require you to fly autonomous simply to collect data in a consistent and systematic way. So if you look at this drone, it's got a folding nature to it. It's a very common drone. It's called the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. It's got a very nice camera on the front, a 20 megapixel camera. So it takes very clear, crystal clear images. And it handles pretty well in the wind too. The camera's a great camera, but the camera is no good if you have a very unstable platform. This platform is very stable. If you take your hands off the controls, it'll simply hover in place in position mode. And so there's very little input needed to fly this well, manually or autonomously. You'll notice there are some eyes on the front, all right? Those are obstacle avoidance cameras. We have more obstacle avoidance on the back, and we have obstacle avoidance on the sides as well, and the bottom. Okay, so this thing is not going to fly into objects easily. Maybe some small branches and things like that it might not be able to see as well, but generally it's going to avoid running into things. This shouldn't be a problem, especially if we're flying autonomously, because we're determining where it's going to fly. All right. So it's got a single battery here on top, comes off. You can replace the batteries. The flight time is about 28 minutes, so it can fly for quite some time. and it is fully registered with the FAA. So we have a registration number here on the side. So I have the drone ready to go. It's turned on. When you first turn it on, it calibrates what's called its IMU, or inertial measurement unit, and it also gathers the GPS satellites needed for navigation. Now I'm running it with an iPad mini attached to its controller. You could use a phone, and then they come with some screens too. Some models come with just built-in screens on the remote. But I'm using an iPad mini because there's a specific program that I like to use called DJI Ground Station Pro that works really well for autonomous missions. Now, it's ready to go. It's telling me on here that it's ready to go via GPS. Probably pretty hard to see on there, but I have enough satellites. My firmware is up to date. All the things that are necessary for a safe flight. I look around. I have some trees that are obstructions, but I feel comfortable as a pilot that I can navigate around these. Generally, the people who are going to be flying for this project are going to be very careful on where they set up, make sure there's no obstructions in the vicinity, and so they can fly safely. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take this up manually just to kind of show you how easy it is to fly and how stable it is. So I'm going to arm it. Now, I do not have my hands on the controls. It is beeping because it sees obstacle avoidance, which is me, right? So it won't run into me. But you can see how stable it is in the air right now. Moves right around. It moves very smoothly. Forward, back. Okay. Now the reason it stopped so quickly is because it sensed obstacles, so it didn't want to hit myself or the camera. Okay. It stopped beeping now because it's far enough away from an obstacle. So let's go ahead and see how that works again as it approaches me to make sure, show you that the obstacle avoidance is working. So I'm headed right at myself and it stops. Right, so a very safe unit. You can see how simple it is. It's just sitting there again. It's not going anywhere. I'm going to take it down now. Very simple to land. So that's it. Very simple to use. We are not covering the video on how to run an autonomous mission right now. This is simply to show you how simple it is to operate this drone and how well it will work for the project.